Chords, chords, chords. And I ain't talking USB, I'm talking triads, diminished chords, suspended chords, inverted chords. Now, to me, chords are the body of a piece of music. It gives the music direction and feeling. If you choose to not learn about chords, it would be equivalent to a writer not learning how to spell. Chords are the building blocks of storytelling in music. In order to tell good stories through your music, you must learn chords. Now, the good thing about chords is that they have patterns that repeat. And once you know these patterns, they can be done again and again in unique orders to give unique feelings. Now, I'm no Beethoven, but over the past couple of weeks, I've been studying chords, and I just want to share my system of how I think about chords when I'm making them. So the first question is, what are chords? Chords are a grouping of notes that when played together create a tone, aka a chord. Now, there's a few chord shapes that exist, more on that later, but first, let's discuss the two main types of chords. We have major triads and minor triads. And the easiest way to understand the difference between a major and a minor chord is just to hear it. So here we have a major chord. And here we have a minor chord. Do you hear the difference? I'll do it again. So what do you notice about these two chords? Exactly. One sounds happy and one sounds sad. And this is just the general consensus when it comes to major and minor. Major chords sound happy and minor chords sound sad. So now you understand more about the two basic types of chords. Let's dive into how to actually build them. Now, the key takeaway to understand here is intervals. If you can understand intervals, you can create chords from anywhere you want in the piano roll. Now, there are two types of intervals, major and minor. Shocking, I know. So a major interval consists of a note, 3 semitones of space, 1, 2, 3, and then another note. All that a semitone is just the very next note in the piano roll. So, for example, this C to this C sharp would be a semitone. That's all a semitone is. All right, so this is a major interval. And the next interval you need to know is a minor interval. A minor interval consists of a note, 2 semitones of space, 1, 2, and another note. Sounds a little bit sadder, sounds a little bit darker. Perfect. So now we have the building blocks of chords, intervals. So we have a major interval and a minor interval. And this is really all you need to know. Like, I promise you, this is really all that you need to know. These are the two building blocks. Let me explain what I mean by that. Say, for example, we want to create a minor chord. The formula for a minor chord is you take a minor interval, put it over here, and then you take a major interval and you stack it right on top of it. So the bottom note and the top note of the intervals are going to overlap, and that's what you want. So a minor chord is a minor interval with a major interval stacked on top. To create a major interval, it's the complete opposite. It's a major interval with a minor interval stacked on top. And there's your major chord. And there's your minor chord. It's really that simple. That's all you really need to know. And the cool thing about this is that this works for any note. So I can just slide this. If I just shift this up to D sharp, we now have D sharp major and D sharp minor. Put it down to A. We have A major and A minor. Perfect. So these are just the building blocks of chords. Build out a simple chord progression here. So we're going to start with a C minor chord. So we're going to start with just a minor interval with a major interval stacked on top. We're going to go up to D major. So we're going to take D, we're going to put a major interval. So a note, 3 semitones, and then a note, and then a minor interval. A note, 2 semitones. Boom. Now we're starting to build a little bit of a progression. Minor, major, C minor, D major. So let's just continue to build this out a little bit. Let's go up to F sharp minor. So we'll take a minor interval and we'll stack a major interval on top of it. Boom, right there. Perfect. Just for example, let's do one more chord and let's go A sharp minor. So we're going to take a minor interval, take a minor interval, and stack a major interval on top of it. So now we have C minor, D major, F sharp minor, and A sharp minor. And so let's just hear what this sounds like if we left it just like this. So we have some type of emotion that's happening. There's a lot of rising going on. Now they sound all right, but it's kind of boring and it kind of doesn't really sound that good. A key concept to understand when creating chords is something called inversions. And all that an inversion is when you take a note, say this F, and you pitch it up or down an octave. So like this. That would be considered an inversion. The way that you want to think about your inversions is you want to treat the piano roll as if somebody was going to actually play the notes. Let's just change this up a little bit. And let's go to like, B minor. And we'll put this down to like, C sharp minor. So now we have something that sounds a little bit like this. Now, if you notice from this chord to this chord, there's a huge gap. And this is what you don't want. You want to eliminate the gaps. So if it feels like somebody would have to move their hand a bunch in order to play it, then you need to invert the notes until they are all close together. So these first 3 chords are fine because they're very close together, but this 4th chord is super high pitched and it's just kind of far away from all the other notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this F sharp and this D and we are going to pitch it down an octave. And now you notice it almost seems as if the chord progression flows into each other. So let's listen to this and see what it sounds like. Nice. And the only other chord shape that you really need to know, especially if you're making trap, is the suspended chord. So let's delete all these, and I'm going to talk about suspended chords for a second. So here we have C minor. And all that a suspended chord is if you take this second note and you drop it down 1 semitone. And that's called a suspended second chord. And that has a super dark feeling, especially with minor chords. This type of progression is super common in trap, just going from the normal minor to the suspended second minor, because it just has that dark, ominous feel to it. I mean, there's tons of songs out there that are literally just these 2 chords, and that's it. The other type of suspended chord that you could use is called a suspended fourth chord. And how this works is instead of dropping that second note down a semitone, you actually want to bring it up 2 semitones. 1, 2. And this has a similar sounding to the suspended second chord, just a little bit tonally different. And you can hear how I'm only using C minor and I'm able to produce all these emotions with one chord. I mean, you literally can create a whole chord progression with just one chord. With this in mind, I'm going to create a full chord progression using everything that I've gone over. And just see what we can come up with. So I do want to start with C minor. So we're going to go from C minor to G minor. So minor interval with a major interval stacked. And then we're going to go G minor suspended second. I already like the way this is sounding. And what we're also going to do is we're going to take all of these notes and pitch them down an octave. Now we have C minor, G minor, G minor suspended second, and then E major. And if we invert all these notes, boom. And now we have this chord progression in FO keys. We can take it, copy it, paste it into a pad or really anything of your choice. And now we got something like this. Boom. There we go. So now you can build from there. Now, if none of this made any sense to you at all, that's perfectly okay. What you can do is if you go up to the piano roll and you right click on this little music note, and then you pick a either major or minor natural. One of these two, major or minor natural, right click it, and then pick a note. This will be your root note. What this is going to do is FL Studio will highlight every single note in the scale of F minor, or whichever note you choose. So if you really don't want to think about it and you just want to just make chords that sound good, you can just use scale highlighting and then just place notes until something sounds good. There you go. Easy, simple chord progression. Thank you for watching. I hope you gained some value from this. I'll catch you next time.